It's Do Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Due Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you yesterday? Yesterday we started off shaking the Monday morning blues with the Duke Time crew, and we had some relationship dilemmas. Yes, there was a guy who found out that after taking his time to build his credit, get his life in order, get a good job, get a nice savings account together, and finding the woman of his dreams, he proposes to her. And then he finds out that she has $82,000 worth of debt, right? As they have pretty much paid for the wedding, and an elaborate wedding that is. And the day has almost arrived, and he's like, we need a prenup. And she says, oh no. He wants to know, should I get married? Yeah, because I can't marry somebody who's in this kind of debt. Well, after weighing in, everybody doing so here on his Due Time, says, yes, get that prenup, because you don't want to go into debt and now you got an issue. Well, I said, forget the prenup, forget the marriage. Yes, listen, a prenup is only a preparation for divorce. Am I going to have a crazy marriage? Because if she is in debt for $82,000, she won't sign a prenup. No. She has other problems that you're going to have to endure during this marriage. And what are you going to have to go through before you even get to the divorce? So forget it. Forget that. Listen, you're going to lose a whole lot more in this marriage than you will at that wedding. So I wouldn't care. No, forget about it, as they say. The second dilemma that we had, was it really a dilemma? Another fiance. Yes, but this time it's a woman who's not getting along with her mother-in-law, who never has gotten along with the mother-in-law. Well, she's got one beautiful diamond ring on her finger from her fiance. And mom-in-law came over, uninvited as always. And she had to do some gardening, the fiance. So she took off her ring so that the beautiful ring would not get messed up. Well, when she came back, she couldn't find the ring, looked for the ring, couldn't find the ring, but she did find the ring on mom-in-law's finger. Yes, admiring her ring, looking at the beautiful diamonds, mom-in-law says. And she's now upset because she says, I can't wear that ring no more. I need me a new engagement ring, because the engagement ring is tainted now that the woman who I don't like has it on her finger. Well, the Due Time crew says, yo, you out of control, because you ain't getting no new wedding ring now, especially if he's invested in all of this money into getting this beautiful ring. I'm going to get rid of that ring and go get another ring, because listen, you'll get over it. Just pray and you'll be all right. Well, our last dilemma. Was it really a dilemma? Well, a woman who has a husband who was overweight for quite some time didn't have a job outside the house. He was working from home and decided to go on a weight loss journey. Is looking cut, great, wonderful. Is taking all these pictures, posting pictures all over social media. He now has a job outside the house that he's had for a little bit now. And everybody is admiring him. And these three ladies at the job are admiring him as well. But there's a special one, this one coworker that she's not feeling too comfortable about because they're chatty. Yes. And doing a whole lot of texting. And she, on the other hand, has just had her second child, and she's feeling a little bit not that great. Well. What does she do? What does she do? Because she's concerned that they doing a little too much talking, and what's that about? Well, he's probably having an emotional affair. But you know what? Listen, he just take that, investment that he took and put it into himself, put it into his wife, and let, the both of them look good together. And all your problems will be solved. So those were our relationship dilemmas yesterday. Well, we got our switch with Shantice, and the switch tip for yesterday was recognize God. Woo. Recognize God. Well, listen, you can actually put those into all three of your dilemmas. Listen, find God, recognize God, see who God is, watch for God. And let me tell you something, your life will be much, 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 much different. Yes. When God has presented himself and he needs to be found, he needs to be recognized, he needs to be acknowledged, because when we don't, we're missing out on some greatness. Yes, Jesus said, I came to give you not just life, but life more abundantly. Well, that's only if you have God in your life. So if you can't see God in anything, if you can't find God in anything, if you don't recognize and acknowledge God, then what will your life really be about? Some people say, well, so-and-so lived to a wonderful age of, 99 years old, and, they were great and they had no complaints. Well, think about this. Sprinkle a little Jesus on that life. Yes. Recognize God. Put God in the mix, and you will not be the same. Okay. Well, that's how we spent our Monday morning. Woo! Good one and going. Go back and watch or listen. Yes. And you're really going to enjoy. Those were just some highlights. Okay. Well, today is Let's Talk About It Tuesday, Church Folk Day. And it's going to be a smidgen short today, as we will be ending our show just a little early. So come on. Let's get this party started. Go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody, anybody, that it's Due Time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because we will be right back.
That I will never feed my kids as a naturopathic doctor. Hi, I'm Dr. Petty Mirdamati, naturopathic and functional medicine doctor, and I'm here to teach you and your family how to live a healthy life. First are Quaker oats. Most oats are high in the pesticide glyphosate and are loaded with artificial sugars. So if you want to give your kids oatmeal, be sure to give them one that is organic and unsweetened, and just sweeten it with some raw honey or some fruit. Second are Pop-Tarts, because these contain high fructose corn syrup, and in high amounts they have been associated with obesity and type 2 diabetes. They also contain artificial colors like red 40 and blue 1, and these synthetic dyes are associated with hyperactivity in children and are also carcinogenic if consumed in excess. Third are Eggo waffles. These contain inflammatory seed oils like soybean oil and canola oil, which are linked to inflammation, and chronic inflammation is associated to obesity, behavioral problems, and asthma. They also contain enriched wheat flour, which is highly processed and stripped of any nutrients, which results in blood sugar spikes and crashes. Fourth are flavored yogurts. Most of these have artificial sugars and flavors, which are linked to hyperactivity and more cravings for sugary foods. And last are cereals. We all have heard of the uproar that has resulted from the garbage ingredients in the cereal found here in the United States compared to those in Canada and in Europe. This is because most of the cereals in the United States contain artificial sugars, colors, and dyes, and when given to children can result in obesity as well as focus issues. Instead, give your kids real food, things like eggs, raw honey, fruits, and smoothies made of vegetables and fruit to set them up for success. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, be sure to follow me for more.
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. And it is Let's Talk About It Tuesday, Church Folk Day. Yes. And I want to say good morning to everybody in the room. But the only way I'm going to know you're in the room is if you check in. So please make sure you do so, okay? We're starting this morning with our boy Terrence. Hey, Terrence. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. What about Serge? Hey, Serge. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we got our girl, Ketty, in the house. Good morning. Good morning, Ketty. How are you this morning? We got Tamika. Good morning, Tamika. Good morning. And I'm so glad that you've joined us this morning. Terrence says, shout out, to the beautiful ladies in the background as well. Stop it. Stop it, Terrence. You ain't going to show me up this morning. We got to give a big hearty shout out to the ladies who help hold it down for us each and every morning, giving us our Facebook Live and our YouTube Live. Let's say good morning to our girls, Anika. Good morning. And Shantice. Good morning. Good morning. And thank you so much, ladies. We could not do it without you. All right. Well, you know how we do on Tuesday morning. We go grab us a good list. I can't see a thing. We're going to go grab us a list. And this morning, I really was so tempted to look into this one, but I didn't. This one here, you got to send me something. This one is, I can't believe I have to explain this to another adult list. Somebody been reading my mind. Let me say that again. I can't believe I have to explain this to another adult list. This room should be jumping all over the place. Because, man, the stuff we got to tell adults is a whole lot longer than the stuff we've got to tell the children these days. Oh, my goodness gracious. Let's see where we're starting. Let's see. I was telling my sister, who was 35 at the time and thinks she's a genius, about how two friends of mine drove to Alaska. And she was asking, well, how does that work? I told her that you cross the border into Canada and then drive the rest of the way to Alaska. She replied, Alaska is an island. I informed her that Alaska is not an island and that she should never say she went to a better high school or college than me ever again. Yes, you can actually drive to Alaska. It's a place, not an island. Yo, okay. Someone said to me, Anne Frank is a fictional character. Boy, go do your history work. I walked in just in time to stop a coworker from cooking a can of corn in the microwave. An unopened can of corn. Oh my gosh. Wow. See that right there? Yeah. About to blow the whole place up. Now, if you just wanted us to have a day off, just say so. But please don't cook the unopened can of corn. I had to explain to a grown human who went to college for nursing what a semicircle was. I had to literally tell her that it was half of a circle. Child, as Mariah would say. One time, my older sibling and I had to explain to my cousin's husband, who was 35 at the time, that thunder does not come from two clouds crashing into each other. My soul left my body. Oh, my. I was explaining ovulation and fallopian tubes to my mother-in-law. She wanted to know why she didn't find eggs in her underpants every month. Oh no. Wow. Maybe she was just joking. No, maybe she was just joking. No, the what needs to be for this one, Anika. Yo. I had a colleague once, a grown man, mind you, who didn't know that indoor cats use litter boxes. He genuinely thought the cats did their business all over the house. Wow. Wow. Terrence says these people sound like millennials. Well, a mother-in-law wasn't no millennial. Not if she a mother-in-law now. No. Wow. Okay. Let's see what else. I was working in a bike store when an older lady came in to return a roll of reflective tape. She said it didn't work because when she took the tape into her dark closet, she couldn't see anything. Okay. She's an old lady. Leave alone. I once got into a very heated argument with a married 45-year-old man over the fact that urine comes out of a different hole than the vagina. He was literally yelling at me, a woman insisting that everything comes out of the same hole. I don't know if I want to hold that against somebody though, especially a man. Listen, all they know is one hole. That's it. I'm mad at him. You may have to explain that to, because some women don't know that. Yeah, the hole is a hole. I mean, what do they know? Yeah, I ain't gonna hold that against nobody. My niece didn't know that pickles were made from cucumbers. She thought there was a pickle tree or pickle bush somewhere. Okay. Wouldn't that be nice? I was out with my husband and mother. My mom didn't seem to understand the difference between Mexico and New Mexico. She's traveled to Mexico before, yet she seemed stunned when she found out it's a different country. It was so weird. I once had to explain to a library patron that we couldn't change the time of our solar eclipse viewing party to better accommodate her kids' nap time. I had to tell another person that we did not have an audiobook of Macbeth ready to read by the author, and that no other place did. And Macbeth is too old to be read by the author. After nearly 25 years of customer service, there's little I don't believe. Wow. After we're losing funding for schools, good grief. Yeah. Shanti says, I was a teenager when I learned that about my body. Yeah, I mean, it's just something that a lot of people don't really know. So I ain't crazy about that. I had to explain to another adult that learning to read is fundamental. Good morning, Teresa. We got a check-in from Teresa. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got this list. And the list is, I can't believe I had to tell this to another adult stories. All right. Oh, Terrence is laughing at the pickle tree bush. Yeah. Be surprised what people think. I had to explain to my grandmother that lamps do not leak electricity when they don't have light bulbs. Later, I found out that my mom and her sisters, my grandfather, and my grandmother's siblings have all tried explaining it to my grandma. At one point or another, it never stuck, clearly. Well, yeah, clearly not. I had to explain to a 26-year-old college graduate who majored in geography that Kentucky is indeed a state. I spent years as a server and had to explain to countless people that mayo is in fact dairy free. Okay, maybe I'm the one with the problem because mayonnaise is made from eggs and oil. That's it. It's not dairy free. Oh my. Somebody needs to go explain this to her. About half of our guests who said they were lactose intolerant but asked for no milk because they thought it was dairy. I guess the assumption is that if it's white, it's dairy. No. Okay, no. Wow. Oh, okay. All right. This person is from Canada and they got something completely different going on. Yeah. Okay. Well, here in America, mayonnaise is made from dairy. All righty. This Tamika says, I had the same argument with a man. How are you going to stand me down and tell me more about my own body? Shaking my head. Yeah. I had to explain to a guest when I was a server that herb salmon wasn't chicken. Wow. No, that's a big one. That's a herb salmon and chicken. Where's the connection? Okay. All right. My ex-spouse would turn down the radio whenever he was low on gas. I finally asked why. He turns out that they thought all of the car's systems were running on gas. They were 38. Okie dokie. Once my brother-in-law said that coconut milk came from brown coconuts and coconut water came from green coconuts. My mom, a retired science teacher, explained to him that the color of the coconuts didn't matter and that the milk came from the white skin on the inside of the coconut and the water was just whatever was inside the coconut. Oh, my brother-in-law kept saying she was wrong, so they bet on it and had me Google the answer. My mom won the bet and I got free dinner out of it. Okie dokie. All righty. Nice trade-off. Okay. I had an argument with someone about buffalo wings that they didn't come from buffaloes. Says Tamika. Anika says that person needs to stop driving. The one who thought that the radio was running off of gas. Yeah, love y'all. Woo! I had to explain to my friend that no, salmonella is not Spanish for salmon. Wow, that was a good one. That was a good one. That was a good one. On a passenger flight, a passenger asked why we were delayed despite the captain just explaining that the aircon was not working and that techs were repairing it. The passenger asked, how come we don't open the windows? I stared at her for a long time, wondering if she was joking. Then I stared longer, wondering if it was possible for her to ask such a question. I explained why opening the windows wasn't possible due to the cabin air pressure issue and the lack of oxygen as we go higher. She really believed we could open windows on an airplane and let air in. I was riddled with shock. So am I. Oh my goodness gracious. Wow. I had to explain to a full adult how time zones work and that you didn't need a passport if you're flying somewhere within the same country. I brought out a globe and everything. Wow. Woo! All right now. There's some stuff in this world. All righty. Well, let's talk about some news right about now. Ooh. All right. Well, it's real, y'all. The first self-deportation flight from the United States has landed in Honduras. Yeah, with U.S. citizen children on board. Yes. Remember when I think it was Vivian who did it on the Socially Conscious segment that there was an agreement that Trump was making with, the people who weren't supposed to be here, the illegal migrants, the illegal people, that if they self-deported, he would pay them $1,000. Well, that has happened. And they have given those individuals that $1,000 stipend, and it has landed in Honduras. A group of 38 Hondurans arrived in Honduras Monday afternoon after applying through a mobile app provided by the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. And they say there was a bit of everything: mothers, children, dads, grandmas, aunties, uncles. Yeah, they say each individual was given $1,000, including the children. Yeah, and they said it was quite successful, and at least 4 of the children were born in the United States. Yeah, so clearly you didn't have to be an illegal to leave. But the $1,000 was available to you. They say the children were born in either the United States or born in Mexico, and they left with their Honduran relatives because they didn't want the family separated. So everybody kind of went, and they say that now all you had to do was go on. There's the mobile app that was available, and if you signed up within the app, you could get the $1,000 once you solidified that you would be leaving Then they gave you a location to go to on, a particular day. And one gentleman, they say he was leaving from Texas. So they gave him a location. He went to that location. They gave him something to eat. And then they sent him on his way. Yeah. So the whole flight carried 64 people. And one stop was in Honduras. And the next stop was actually in Colombia. So they said that, this is the, nice way. This is the way to leave without having to be dragged out of here. Now, here's the part that kind of got me. I didn't realize they say it's cheaper to pay them to leave, because when they deported these people, it was $17,000 per individual. It costs to deport a person. Why? Why would it cost that much? Well, I guess maybe, by the time they round up the people, take them over to the hotel or whatever the location is, and hold them there until it's time, then put them on a plane, then get them to where they're going. Yeah, so all of that stuff adds up to $17,000. And they say, you know what? Just leave on your own. It's a lot more dignified than if you were to, be deported. So it worked, y'all. It worked. It worked. They have a $200 million initiative for this leave on your own thing. Yeah, the self-deportation. Wow. All righty. Well, listen, that's not a bad deal. You're leaving, you get $1,000, you get a meal. Yeah. Well, I don't know what to call this. Allergies are driving me crazy. I don't know what to call this story. They have a French pizza chef who robbed this neighbor, along with a woman who they are calling his partner. Now, his name is, I can't even pronounce these names. These names are like foreign names. So we're going to call him Snyder the Butcher. So Snyder the Butcher, who is now a pizza chef, had a neighbor named, let's see what we're going to call the neighbor. The neighbor who is called, I don't know how to pronounce. Oh, this one is even harder. Well, neighbor, we're going to call him neighbor, Mr. Neighbor. Well, Snyder and Natalie, who are 69 and 45, Schneider being 69 years old, Natalie being 45, they went into their neighbor's house to rob him. And the neighbor was 60 years old. And they bound him and gagged him. And they went around the house searching for some stuff. When they got back, he had suffocated to death. So, they panicked and they decided, well, that's where the argument is. She's saying that she did not have anything to do with this. So I don't know how they're connecting little Natalie to this here, but they decided to cut him up. Yes. He told Natalie, Snyder, told Natalie, yeah, cut him up. And that was to cover up. So they burned his head, hands, and feet and left pieces scattered throughout the house. They took some other pieces to the man's van and they drove it to some area. And they said he decided to make cooking parts out of his body in a pot of vegetables in line with a religious ritual he learned in Nepal and to cover up the smell. Well, another man, somehow or another, a 25-year-old digger, allegedly roped in as this accomplice somehow, told the authorities that Snyder ordered him to cook the meat until it falls off the bone, and to tell anyone who asks that it was food for the dog. Yo, these crimes are getting more heinous and crazy. Well, again, they took parts of the 60-year-old neighbor and put him in his van, and him and Natalie, Snyder and Natalie, drove off. Well, what they did not know was that the daughter of the neighbor reported him missing, as well as his car. And that's how they got caught, because they got caught in the car. When they pulled Natalie and Snyder over, they told the authorities that he had borrowed the car, and he was making some runs. Well, they told them to get out the car. They searched the car only to find some body parts and some blood. So they must have really been getting ready to get rid of this van. And that's how they got caught. So now they are facing murder charges and some other crazy charges. I always tell you, they drum up all of these different types of charges. So they're being charged with kidnapping leading to death, concealment of a corpse, and endangering the integrity of the corpse. So I guess that's the cooking part. Why you just can't say something like, because you cooked the man? Well, I mean, oh my goodness gracious. Ooh, wait. Oh my goodness gracious. All right, we got time for one more story. All righty. Well, let's talk about this one. This one is kind of funny, coming off of cutting them up, eating them until it, not eating them, but cutting it up till it falls off the bone. So they are paying, this is to go in line with the socially conscious story. Well, they are paying Allied Security two ways. They are paying their security guards $100 an hour if you are armed, $25 an hour if you are unarmed, to be in the subway system to man the gate so people don't go through the turnstile. Well, what did they find out? They found out that several things was going on other than keeping them from walking through the gate. So they found out that when the people got to the gate, the fare beaters, they call them, that the guards were holding the gate open or opening the gate for them. They say that these people do not want to pay. They are coming up with all kinds of excuses. My phone don't work. My card don't work. The token booth clerk told me that I could go through. They said that as they watched these $100 an hour armed guards, as well as the $25 unarmed guards, they said they found them outside smoking cigarettes, smoking cigars, taking breaks, sitting in a diner during their tour, they have found that they were chilling with the officers, sleeping. Remember that video? Sleeping. Yeah. So everybody's paying for them to do literally nothing. Nothing, and more nothing. And when they approached and asked them, yo, what's going on? They said that, hey, what are you going to do? When we open up the gate for one person, the next person steps up. And once they go through the gate, we can't stop them. There are two people are going through the turnstile. One fare, two people. So they're not fighting this. Well, they sound like the bus drivers who say, listen, ain't my money. Get on the bus, ride free, pay ride. It don't matter to me. I'm just driving my line. That's it. Listen, this is the way of the world. This is the way of the world. This is what they're going to do. So they are talking about the fact that they've got this congestion pricing, driving everybody to the train stations. And this is what they're doing. And they're trying to make up for the money that they lost, but they're not making up for anything because the people are still riding for free. But not only are they riding for free, but they are being allowed to ride for free. So they're asking, why are we paying these people if they are allowing the people to walk through the gate? Why are we paying these people if they're opening the gate and saying, welcome into the subway system? So, man, oh man, oh man. Whew. Let's see what's going on in the chat room real quick. And then we're going to get to our due time crew so we can have our conversations. I think I still got some comments based on the stories that we have to tell adults. So let's see what they got going on here. Why are we so slow this morning? I'm so sorry. All right, here we go. We're getting somewhere. Ooh. Let's see. I got my Pastor Vinny on. I've got my Pastor KL on. So, hey, AJ, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And Shanti says, I still have to explain to adults the difference between weather, WEHTR, which is the weather outside, and weather, WHETHR, either or. And the there, and there. These are people with kids. Shaking my head. Save the children. Oh my. All righty. Let's see what else. Serge says, we would have died with this lady. Yes, if the lady wanted to open up the airplane window. My goodness. I guess she thought the movie version was fiction. Right, Serge? Because anytime you show an open window on the plane, people are dying. Go figure. Yes, Anika, $100 an hour if you are an armed guard. Well, what you're armed for, you ain't doing nothing and wasting money on these positions that are not effective. It's true. It's true. Just a big waste of money. No one is willing to fight for someone to pay a fare that's not coming out of their check. Right? It's not coming out your paycheck. And you're being paid to be there. So why do I care? Wow. Where's my Pastor Vinny at? To say good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Pastor Steph. I'm large.
Good morning, Pastor. Good
I'm
morning,
large and almost
Pastor
in charge.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Doing well. Miss Brenda got some early calls, so she said hello.
Righty. All right, and we send it.
Told me to behave. I don't know why she would say
that. Well, tell her we love her back, and we're going to ensure that you do behave. All righty.
Yes,
all
ma'am.
righty. Well, Pastor Vinny, what is something you couldn't believe you had to tell an adult?
How about being quiet in church?
Wow. Well,
No
why
respect
would
for
you? Nobody has
no
respect.
respect for the house of God. None.
Wow.
None.
What were they talking about?
Nothing. They weren't even talking about anything that had any kind of consequence.
Wow.
Just ridiculous. Just to be talking.
Wow.
Just to hear them
I
talk.
gotta tell you, Pastor Vinny, this talking thing in church is years ago we used to get popped real fast.
Oh yeah.
Right? If somebody heard us talking, and I was sitting on a they had all the speakers, all the pastors on the choir loft, and while other people were speaking, there was this conversation. I was like, yo, are we here to hear them or you?
Big and bold. Big and bold. You know? I got a look that my mother had. So when I would turn my neck and give them the eagle eye, it would kind of calm them down, but not for long. Not for long.
Okay.
And so that was the beginning of the end for me.
Wow.
It really is the beginning of the end. Come on, if we cannot at least be cordial, be respectful in God's house, that we just need to go back under our covers.
Yep. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No.
It doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter. It's all of that just went out the window. All right, Pastor Vinny. We've got a couple of stories here in our news. And we're talking about the first self-deportation trip has, taken off. They've got a total of about 64 people on this flight. Some were going to Honduras. The others were going to Colombia. They were paid $1,000 each, and that's including the children were paid $1,000 each to go, back to their country. They said, do it in a nice fashion where, nobody's coming and snatching you up. They say it was cheaper to pay them $1,000 to actually self-deport than if they deported them, because it was $17,000 if they deported each person. So one of the gentlemen, they all they have to do is go through an app, sign up, and when they're almost finished the process of signing up, they get the $1,000, and they then tell them the nearest place to go to get to Honduras. So there was a guy from Texas. They told him where to go. He went to that particular area, and they gave him something to eat, and they took him, put him on a plane, and sent him off. So what do you think? Is this going to be a good thing?
Listen, this situation that we're talking about, we're talking about thousands and thousands of people, taking up the spots for legal people. They're taking up spots where legal, law-abiding citizens belong, and they are just moving these folks out of the way. It makes all the sense in the world to have someone, where you want to go. Tell us where you want to go, and we'll send you there if you promise not to show up on the next bus.
Yeah, right. That you don't do a round trip.
Yeah. When they turn over the dime, you still your face is still on the dime. Yeah. If they're willing to do that, I mean, I think that's fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. If you self-deport, you actually can apply to come back on your own. Now, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to come back, or you're going to be allowed to come back, but you can at least apply. If they have to deport you, you are not going to be allowed to come back at all. So $1,000, you go back home, you apply, you come back, possibly. It's not a bad deal, Pastor Vinny.
No,
not
I
a
don't,
bad deal
I don't
at all.
think so either. I don't think so either. I think I mean, who wants to be forced to go someplace where they don't want to go? If this is one of the hot spots that you could, go to and have a decent life, why not? Why not? I mean, enough of this forcing people to go where they don't want to go, tying them up, and just you go there, you're out of here, kid. No, it is so not worth it. Where's the humanity? That's what my sister would say. Where's the humanity, son? Where's the humanity? Yeah, we still got heart. They still have heart. They still, have a right to feel like a human being.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's what they were actually saying. They were saying, go with some dignity. If you go on, you go with dignity. If we got to drag you and, detain you and then ship you off, it's not going to be done nicely. So take your time, do it on your own before we catch you, because we're going to catch you. So, it's not so bad. It's not so bad.
No.
All righty. Let's see. We got another story. Oh, the French pizza chef. Oh my goodness gracious, Pastor Vinny. What a story. You go to rob somebody. Mm-hmm. You mistakenly suffocate him as you've put this thing over his nose and mouth, clearly. And to cover up, your crime, you burn part of the body. You have somebody else cook part of the body and cook it for so long till it falls off the bone. Oh my gosh. Wow. Along with some vegetables. Oh, Pastor Vinny.
You gotta have a complete meal,
Ooh, wee. Along with the vegetables. Ooh. And the rest of it goes in the van to be discarded. And they catch you. Now, here's what he said. He said that the reason why he ended up, doing all of this to the body is because it was a mistake that he died. It was during the time when he was an alcoholic and on drugs, and there was some paranoia that went on, and she helped me do it. She said, no, I didn't. I wasn't a part of that. Yeah, they said that she is still saying she was not a part of this plan. And they're like, yo, you were in the van trying to discard this body. You knew. And what do you do with sick minds like this?
That's Steph. You can't make these stories up.
Nope, you can't.
You can't make these stories up. But you know, and I know that if you put fire, a live flame to anything, there are going to be some chemical changes that are going to be permanent. These are going to be permanent changes. You're not going to be able to say, oops, I just wanted to, not well done, but just enough to change the characteristic of this meat. Yeah, it is not good. It is not a good look, not at all.
Wow.
Not at all.
And finally, we got the $100 an hour armed guards and the $25 unarmed guards who have been placed at the turnstiles to man the fact that these people pay to stop all the pay evaders. Well, not only are they not stopping them, but they're giving them the welcome mat, rolling out the welcome mat. They said they're opening up the gate to allow them to come in voluntarily. Their argument is, hey, they're saying that my phone don't work, my card don't work. The token booth clerk told me to go in. And once they open up for one person, another person pushes through. And they're not stopping them. I'm not going to stop you. And, why should I stop you? I'm not threatening my life, or they say that not only are they there opening up the door and rolling out the welcome mat, but during their shift, they are seen outside smoking cigarettes, smoking cigars. During their shift, they are sitting in the diners. They say that they are chilling with the cops, talking, or either they are outright asleep. What a job to have, Pastor Vinny, right?
Where was I when where was I when that opportunity prevailed?
Right? Wow.
We are in such a bad state of affairs. We just don't care about anybody. We don't care about anybody. We are taking whatever we can get out of life, and we're finishing it up with a stogie.
Absolutely.
With a stogie and a glass of lemonade.
Woo! I don't know, Pastor Vinny.
I
don't know. They might as well just go ahead and just let the people go ahead and do what they always do. Let's see what Pastor KL has got to say. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Pastor Vinny. Let's say good morning to Pastor KL.
Pleasure.
Good morning, Pastor. How y'all doing?
How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
All right. Thanks. All right. Well, we started off with this list of, I can't believe I had to tell an adult this thing. What you got on your list, Pastor KL?
Well, down here in Alabama, they're not that bright. So, we got a thing that, the church folks say, won't he do it? And anytime they post that, they post WANT, want he do it? And I'm like, that's not won't he do it? But you'll see 99 posts say won't he do it? So yeah, I lose my mind with that.
No, wait. They're actually writing want he do it?
Yeah.
Want, WANT, instead of won't.
Wow.
What are they texting
this?
I'm sorry?
I said, are they texting this?
Yes, that's what they posted. And then, they do it with the lady dancing or whatever memes they got. Won't he do it? I'm like, this is why he won't do it. This is why he won't do it. Because he don't know what you're talking about.
You sound like Shantice and the Weathers and the Theirs.
Right.
Make her mad, Pastor KL. Start mixing those things.
Oh man, it bothers me so bad. Listen, the biggest one that bothers me when they said conversate. I'm like, that's not a word. Conversate is for all of us are black and brown people. Let me educate you. Conversate is never a word. It's not in the dictionary. We simply converse. Think of the sneakers. The Converse, that's what we do, converse.
No, I'm mad at the dancing emoji. What the warning do it?
Well,
Oh my goodness gracious. That is funny. That's you know what else? The twos. They can't figure out which
yes.
two to use.
The,
I'm
the
like,
also the number two
yes,
of the two.
yes. I'm like, yo, this is like elementary school stuff.
Wait,
Oh
what
my
about the
goodness.
waste of time? And they put the waste with your belt.
Oh my goodness gracious. There's a message for you, Pastor KL.
Mm.
And someone says, tell Pastor KL that they may not be bright, but they do carry shotguns.
They do. Especially the light skinned ones.
But the
And
light
I'm gonna
skinned
say-
ones ain't saying, but wait, the light skinned ones ain't saying won't he do it.
Yeah. No, they saying worse than that. The light skinned ones talk worse than we do.
Oh my goodness gracious. Wow, really?
Really.
Oh my goodness gracious. Ooh, I'm mad. Shanti says this is what happens when we drop the standards in order to get a job. You don't have to finish school. Oh my goodness gracious. No,
You don't have to finish school. You don't have to dress up. You don't have to wear a blazer. You can come to a job interview with your pajamas on. Your Daisy Duke, your push-up bra.
Yeah, this, we were just talking about that the other day. The just the lack of standards now. It's just everybody does, what's comfortable, what they want to do. You really don't find a man in some hard bottom shoes anymore. Everything is just so casual and comfortable now. Yeah, it's much different than it used to be.
I had a lady come for an interview with a bonnet on her head, and she passed me a piece of paper and said, "This is my resume."
No, you making this up.
My resume. I said, "Your what?" She said, "My resume." I said, "Your resume?" Oh my God.
No, you're lying. I don't believe that story. You about making up stories from the optics, Pastor Gail.
That's what it
Did
is.
I tell you about making up the stories for the optics? I told you about that.
I'm gonna let you come down here and do my interviews, and you'll see.
Wow, are you serious?
When they bring their children to the interview, the baby on babies to the interview.
Wow.
Now you already told me you can't get no babysitter. What I'm hiring you for?
More problems.
They bringing the baby on the job.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why.
Yeah.
They're bringing the baby on the job.
What they want you to expect.
Oh my goodness. Well, listen, Pastor KL, Pastor Vinny brought up the fact, when you got to tell a person to stop talking in church. How does that work for you?
Well, most of the times it's not the adult, it's them bad kids. You know what I mean? It's like you send them into the store and they go to the toy section. You send them to church and they go to the party aisle in the back. And then you up there praising God and they back there losing their mind. We didn't have that. When I went to church with my grandmother, I had to sit next to my grandmother. I couldn't go sit in the kiddie section. I had to sit there, and she dared me to open my mouth. Listen, grandmothers used to be able to pinch you that no one knew you got pinched except you. Baby.
Yeah. I tell you, I don't get it. But I see here you talking about the kids. With Pastor Vinny, I'm talking about the adults. I think I could deal with the kids. I can't deal with these chatty adults. It's like, why are we here? Why are you talking? What? This is not the parade. This is not the party. This is not the clubhouse. Yo, really? Yeah. Not the kids. I could deal with the kids, Pastor KL. I could deal with the kids.
I'm not a fan of children.
Oh my goodness gracious. He's not a fan of children.
Oh.
Woo! Okay.
Somebody
All
keep
right.
it handy.
Excuse me, Tribe Called Quest.
Listen, man, I don't care what y'all say. Y'all can beat me down, but everybody, I'm not a fan of other people's children because other people do not raise their children like you. And since you don't want me to reach out and touch, keep them children away from me.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right, Pastor Kel, we're going to make sure to tell them when they come to church.
I told y'all I don't let children in my store. If you ain't with an adult, you can't come in my store.
Wow. Wow. All right now. Listen, I get it. You're not gonna let the kids come up in the store because they gonna wreak all kinds of havoc. So I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. All right, Pastor KL, let's talk about this self-deportation. The first flight has left and it has dropped people in Honduras and Colombia. They say it's cheaper to do it this way. It's $1,000 a person, including children get $1,000 if they actually self-deport, opposed to being deported where it's costing $17,000 to do so.
Listen, at this point, if you're gonna give me $1,000, if I'm around the retirement age and I'm able to come back, I might be able to come back. I'm gonna deport myself. I'm gonna go up there with an accent, acting like I'm from Jamaica or acting like I'm from somewhere. Give me $1,000. It'll be a free trip. Goodness. I'll come back later, or we'll think about it later. I think that's a great thing. You know, I gotta go anyway, and I'm talking about for the other folks. I gotta leave anyway, otherwise you're gonna come find me. I might as well get something out of it, and then I might have the opportunity to come back. I might not, but I may have the opportunity to come back. So yeah, give me my time. And listen, them other folks got about 12 kids. $1,000 per child? You got Essay, you got Mary, you got Julio, you got Juan, you got Toby, you got all these for Tobias. Okay, listen, I can go up there and buy a house.
Yeah. And you know, I didn't realize it was $1,000 for the children as well. So see, they're saying that the children are leaving with the people, even United States children. They buying them kids off. Yo, you not just so that they don't get separated from the family. They're from the United States. Why am I sending my kids, who's a United States citizen, off to Honduras and Colombia so I can get that money? So
right.
You're right. All these kids, yeah, you round them up. Yeah, you gonna get a couple of dollars here. Because that didn't make sense to me. I'm like, you sending away the kids who are United States citizens so that they're not separated from the family. Yo, they got family. They got family already. So what are you worried about it?
You know how much rice and beans you can buy with $1,000 a person? Man.
In Honduras and Colombia.
Forget about 52 cents a day. I'm having a buffet out there.
Yeah, they're racking up. They are racking up. We got a comment. Why do people think if they are here illegally and self-deport and put their names on the list, they will be allowed to come back legally? What makes them think this administration will honor the agreement? What liars? Well, that was one of the thoughts that passed my head. You are willing to admit you were here illegally. Why am I honoring you coming back here? You already done stole off the country, so now that's what they're going to hold against you. They're not going to give you no favors. Nah. They're going to go for the people who have not ever been here, who are applying legally to come here. They're not going to go back to the people. Listen, the line is so long for the people who have never been here, who are trying to come here for the first time. When will you ever be on a list? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm in agreement. How you gonna get back here? Nah. Unless you change your name, you get something done to your face, and you ain't got the same look no more. Yeah, you're not coming back here. I'm not buying that either. All right. Let me get some of these comments out the way. We're going back to the stories. And Tamara says, yes, Anika, That's how much they get paid, not even being in the train station itself. The armed guards are not allowed to stop people at all. Only the unarmed guards, are not allowed to stop people at all. Only the armed guards. And Shanti says the average millennial man doesn't own shoes. Yes, he owns a bunch of sneakers, but no shoes. All right, Pastor KL, we're talking about this French chef and his side piece who has chopped up the man who they were initially just going to rob. They have separated the body. Part of the body they burned, part of the body they cooked till it fell off the bone, and the other part they put in the van to go and take it somewhere and get rid of it. And now they are under arrest and they're going to jail for a long time.
Yeah, I thought that was the stupidest thing. First of all, I once was fat because I like to eat. And all meat don't fall off the bone. Some meat just get tougher. The longer you cook it, that don't mean it fall off the bone. Steak, if you cook it too long, it's gonna be dry. So that idea was all messed up. And then I don't understand why people cut up the body. That's just too much work, too much blood. And we already found out in so many different forensics that you can't clean up blood thoroughly. You know what I mean? So I mean, you just set yourself up for failure. And how drunk was you that you thought it was a good idea to cut up the body? Hey, let's cut up the body. How drunk was you? Listen, I'm sorry. I don't like a lot of folks, but I ain't never been that mad, not been that upset, where I was going to take the time to cut up the body. I mean, think about it. You're cutting off the head, the feet. Just think about the details on what you have to do to get it in a sandwich bag. I'm not doing all that. I'm not doing all that. That's crazy.
Wow. This is a lot. This is a lot. And we're talking about the unarmed guards at $100 an hour, the armed guards at $100 an hour, the unarmed guards at $25 an hour. They're being paid to stop the fare evaders, but they're not doing this. Is it even worth it at this point to even try? That's my question. Are we even trying to stop the fare evaders at this point?
Well, I mean, I look at it at this point that why does anybody have guns? Because we ain't using them. We're not a threat. Everybody should be getting paid $25 an hour. Your gun, it serves no purpose. You're not even trying to scare people with a gun. You say, come on in the room. You know what I mean? That's all you doing. So you're highly paid for doing nothing. The $25 an hour person ain't doing nothing. You might as well just leave the gate open.
Yeah.
Leave the gate open.
Yeah. At this point, if you don't have police officers there who are going to do the job, then you might as well leave it alone. They are talking about the millions of dollars that they have paid, guys, to put these people at this gate, and they have done nothing. So I say just listen. Just leave well enough alone. Just put the police officers there. They're already on duty. You're not paying an additional group of people to do anything. And if they're going to sleep or chat or look at their phones, then let them just go ahead. Yeah, just let them go ahead. Well, what's the point? You might as well leave it alone. All right, guys, we got a couple of minutes left, and I want to talk about this story. My brother could be my son. Now, before I decided to read this article, I was trying to think of how many ways this could happen, and I just could not. My imagination, maybe my brain was just fried.
Shot.
But I could not figure this thing out. Now, before we go into this story, Pastor Vinny, I'm going to ask you, my brother could be my son. Could this happen in your mind?
Let me take my mind out of my head first.
Right, because that ain't working.
No, because I would have had to lost my mind trying to think of this. Nah, as a young person, it'd be like, ew. Oh, this is not real. This is not real. No, I'm not sleeping with my mother. Um, no, I mean, I can't even force my mind to conjure up a scenario that will make any sense.
Okay. Pastor KL, can you think of a way that my brother could be my son?
He had, well, I can't say he had to, but the only thing I can think about is they were drunk and he slept with his mom.
Okay. Well, Pastor Vinny, you said it, and Pastor KL, you said it. Well, y'all brain thought better than mine, because I never came up with that scenario. And yes, that's exactly what they believe happened. Now, I say they believe happened. So you have a Logan Gifford, who they say was 10 years old when his mother first sexually abused him. They said that he endured this for quite a few years, and he's 26 years old now, and he's taking legal action to conduct a paternity test on his younger brother, who he is now suspecting could be his child. Now, he didn't even figure this out, actually. It was the authorities, some social worker, who actually told him that this was an actuality. Now, years ago, they say that he was sexually molested by his mother. He says all he remembers is that he was invited as a little boy into the room where his parents shared. So there was a father that was clearly present at one point. And he said they were looking, him and his mother was looking at TV. And before he knew it, she began to do some things. This went on for quite some time. And later on, he found out that his mother was pregnant. He didn't think anything of it, needless to say. But between the social worker and the therapist ended up telling him, well, his mother was sent away for 8 years. Well, she ended up doing 8 years. She was given 8 to 26 years for sexually abusing him. Now, she came out and immediately violated the rules and probation because she was not supposed to contact any of her children. But needless to say, she did. And now, she's back. She had to go back to jail for a little bit. She's out now. Now, because the therapist and the social worker said it, now they said to him emphatically, this is your brother. This is your son. And of course, he could not believe this. And like I said, now he's going through this entire legal system to get this paternity test. Now, he said he's speaking out because he wants other children who have been sexually molested by their parent or anything like that to know that they're not alone. And he says he's letting everybody know that his brother is a product of his sexual assault, and he wants to help as much as he can. Now, we're talking about this today because, this is, what do you do? What do you do with these kind of parents? Do you just throw them in jail? Do you give them some type of therapy? Will therapy help? Well, I mean, Pastor Vinny, they're kind of throwing around. What do you do with her now? Because see, now they're trying to get a new offense because she's mothered this child with her son as the father. So they're now trying to bring this up as a new charge because initially this was not the charge. The charge was simply sexual assault on a minor and, you know, all those other things that they're going to add up. But now they're trying to make this a new charge. Pastor Vinny, how do you handle her? Do you just make this a new charge, or do you actually send her somewhere so she can go get some help potentially? Will help even matter at this point? As you're talking, I'm going to see how old she actually is. What do you think they need to do?
Wow. This is this is so wild, Pastor Steph. And I guess the truth is that it's more prevalent than we even want to admit. It's even more prevalent than we admit. That mother is sick. The mother is sick. The father is sick, who's laying in the bed, possibly next to her, to even agree to allow this to go on. I don't know. We as I just, it's almost like just hope for the best. I mean, you're going to go out the rest of your life. You know, this is hey folks, this is my son. this is my son. You know, give him some dap. I mean, we just don't care. We just don't care today. It's bad. I'm
all right. Pastor KL, help Pastor Vinny out here. You know, what do you do? Do you now, you know, these are new charges, or what do? You just put in jail? Because they put it in jail for 8 to whatever. She did the 8, they let her out. She came out and immediately violated the parole by contacting this Logan. This is the one who, you know, has the son with her. And she immediately went back to jail. Well, they let her out again, but now, you know, I don't know how much time she had left on this parole, but now they're trying to even start up some new charges because of this. Now the child has some problems, some cognitive problems, needless to say. And that's one of the reasons why they're trying to, you know, get some new charges here. But what do you do with her, in your opinion?
In my opinion, she has to go to some type of institution. Because she's not all here. You know what I mean? And apparently 8 years in jail didn't help you. You know what I mean? So apparently that scenario didn't work. So now we have to figure out other things. You know what I mean? I think for me, my question, the biggest is for the son that is the dad who wants this information. I guess the question is, what do you do with the information once you get it? Because now the son's son, potential son, is already in turmoil. So now you're going to bring more to him, more to his turmoil? And then are you in a position to be a dad? So is this a selfish act that you just want to know? You know, or are you just trying to get closure? I mean, what will this information do to you? What is the next step after you get your information?
Yeah, now he's 26 years old, and you know, he says he already has been taking care of his brother, and it doesn't say that, you know, he wants to kind of take him in and really be a father. They don't go that far in the story, but they say that, you know, he says he's very close to the brother, son, because, you know, he has been taking care of him ever since the mother got locked up. So I don't know where the father is. They have not mentioned the father, where he is, or whatever the situation is with him. But that was my question too. Okay, so, you know, you said you want to do this so you could help people, but what are you going to do? You know, so he's already in the brother's life. Now, what he plans to do, you know, to go further, like you said, to completely take, you know, him, you know, in, and actually, you know, they're not even given the age of the brother And the timeline, the ages that they do mention is kind of confusing. It's like they mentioned when he was 17, and then they mentioned something else. But, just to think that, again, I said the same thing. Well, clearly nothing, was done when she spent the first 8 years in jail. She came right out and violated. What are you going to do now? What are you going to do now? What are you going to do with her now? She needs to go somewhere, and she needs to get some potential help. Did this just jailing her and people like her? It has to be more than that. It just can't be her just going and serving time. So, it's another pray for them moment, because like Pastor Vinny said, this is probably, not the only one, that's going through this type of scenario. How many other people are actually going through this? Shanti says, it's giving I'm my own grandpa vibes. Tamika, says, Mr. Brown sings, this is your daddy. Anika says, wow, I thought about a whole different scenario. Very sad when you're not even protected by your parents. And it's true. It's true. We bring up these stories here so that, people can really understand what's out there, what's going on, how to watch for your very parents, for these very parents. It's very true. They can't even get out their own house. I always say that. I say that all the time. You can't even get your own house. These kids can't even make it out of their home. So, thank you, gentlemen, for your thoughts. And, we're going to definitely keep this world lifted in prayer. Thank you so much for your contribution. We're having a short show today. Thank you for your contribution into today's conversation. And we pray you have a blessed day. Oh, what a scenario. What a scenario. Like I said, when I came across the story, my brother is my son. I have a vivid imagination, but I just couldn't figure this thing out. And the first thing I thought about was Shantice, who always sings the song, I'm my own grandpa. That was like a cartoon, a commercial cartoon that used to come on years ago. And I was like, how does this work? And she was able to sing every single part. I mean, every single lyric. She used to sing this thing. And, when she sang it, it would make sense when she was singing it. But then after a while, you were like, now how'd I go again? Sometimes we're in church. We're in the Lord. And we're so wrapped up in what is going on in church, if you will, that we are not mindful of the things that are going on in the world. And we're just praying for our own issues. We think the stuff that we go through is the worst thing in the world. We think that, it's the end of the world for me. And how could this happen to me? How could God allow this to happen to me? Sometimes we really need to see how the rest of the world is living for us to really appreciate what God has done for us, how God has brought us through, how we've made it, and we are still sane. And here's the thing. God is a wonderful God, as he has promised to rescue each and every one of us. What kind of God is that? With all the people in this world, none of us will be left out. Every single issue will be addressed. What kind of God is that lets you know that you have been fearfully and wonderfully made? I don't care what your scenario is. I don't care what the circumstances were. I knew you even before you were formed in your mother's womb, even before you even thought about. I thought about you. Well, Jesus thought about each and every one of us way back then when he was on the cross. And we weren't even a thought, but he thought about us. So we need to really get on board. Really. Stop wallowing in your nonsense, because that's what it is. I'm sorry. Yes. You oh, Pastor Steph, how could you say that? Look at this situation. Look at this. And this is why, I was like, well, what would be the point? Why would? Because God said, listen, I need you to put this out here, because there are going to be people who will never hear about this. There will be people who think that, oh my God, God just did me like that. And I always say, and I've always said, we are in the middle of life. Yes, there will always be someone better, but yet there will always be someone worse. What are we doing to thank God? If you are sitting on this broadcast, just listening, you've already been blessed. You've already been blessed, because there's a freedom that you've been given to be able to tune in and listen. So God is calling your name. I may not say your name. You may be sitting, laying back in the cut. You didn't check in. You just kind of falling back and just kind of seeing, what is this woman talking about? What are these people in these boxes talking about? God is calling you. He's calling you to come on out. He's letting you know that there are people who are worse than you, and there are people better than you. And he wants to rescue you. Well, here's your opportunity. Opportunity is now. I don't know how long the opportunity will remain. I don't know. And I say that because I don't know when your last day is. I don't know when my last day is. Once we're gone, that's it. Even when we're not in our right frame of mind, I always say later is not promised to any of us. Well, that's because it doesn't have to mean a literal life and death in breathing, like you're in the grave, but you could very well be the walking dead. There are people out here so mentally ill that they don't have a concept of what's right and what's wrong anymore. And at one point they did. Everybody was not born mentally ill. There are things that happen to people. Sometimes I've heard stories of people who were fine and took some drugs, and they have never been the same again. There are people, somebody told me that there was someone who, I said, well, what happened to so-and-so? Have they always been like this? And they were like, no, they were fine until she met a man and he broke her heart, and she's never been the same again. This stuff is real. This is real. So if you've got an opportunity right now to think, then come on, think. Shanti said yesterday, recognize God. Here's another opportunity to recognize God. What has God done for me that he's rescued me from being in a situation like this? Can you imagine? Pastor K, I like to ask some very good questions. So how do you move on? What do you plan to do? That can't be an easy decision either way. Because if you get married and have children, you're going to know that you fathered a child with your mother. If you decide to take this child on and you be the father, you're going to know how this child was conceived. Either way, you need God. There's no way in the world he's going to be able to live, a good life. Yes, because there could be a good life for him in all of this. We don't know what God has for him, but there's no way he would ever live a decent life if he did not recognize God. So whatever your scenario is, recognize God in your life and say thank you and jump on board, because you don't know how long you're going to be here, but he wants to rescue you. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew. Pastor Vinny, and Pastor KL for coming through. And we thank you for actually helping us out, keeping that chat room alive. Thank you so much. Please do not miss this opportunity to give Christ your life right now. Please do not miss this opportunity to strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now, because later isn't promised to any of us. Until tomorrow, God spares, where is Wow Wednesday. Until then, I love